Hello everyone. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the country that we're meeting on today, and pay respects to the elders past and present. And I'd like to acknowledge all the Stolen Generation members who are here also. And I think everyone has a hold in their hearts, a place in their hearts for all stolen generations throughout the country and those who have passed on. I'd like to acknowledge the elders, the dignitaries, especially, Kevin Rudd. I think, everyone I know, all the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people I've spoken to, there's a special place in our heart for you, for what you've done for us. You're a bit of a rock star, I think, in the community. I'd like to acknowledge the elders that are here. We've got Uncle Bob, Auntie Val, Auntie Isabel, Uncle Sam, and there's so many that, I can't probably mention all of them. So I'd like, when our 26th Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, uttered those words, "We say sorry," it was a moment of truth-telling. It's acknowledging the pain and suffering of our Stolen Generation members. And I think it was so important for us so that we can move forward and right the wrongs of the past. We hoped back then that would open the gate for critical recommendations to be implemented. There has been some progress, and I'd like to thank Kevin Rudd again for to mark the first anniversary of the apology. The National Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Healing Foundation was established. As everybody know, I work for Cranbrook Place. Cranbrook Place was set up to deal with the transgenerational grief, loss and trauma of our mob. And we had established that organisation in 1994. So to have a national body to address healing for our mob was so welcome for us. We're out on our own and not having a voice at that national level. I know that there's been some changes, like some governments have reparation schemes for their Stolen Generation members, but the Healing Foundation they've started a research that's funded by federal government and as part of the study, the foundation is gathering important demographic information about the Stolen Generation, so that can inform future service design and provide a framework to address issues like national reparations to make it fair for everybody. We know that trauma, grief and loss is an issue for all our mob. And we know that there's not going to be closing of the gap unless we address that for our people. Over 65% of people in this study who are in the business of healing say that they are struggling. There isn't sufficient funds or resources adequate to meet the demands in our communities. We need to make sure that we can develop the capability of our workforce, our mob providing our services, the services our way, and we need that if we're going to rid communities of the social health problems that we experience. The high rates of incarceration, high rates of children going into out of home care, suicide rates. It's at a crisis level. These are alarming statistics. We need to address the root cause of this and not just the symptoms. And I think that governments have not done that very well in the past. We need trauma-informed organisations, people who understand what trauma-informed healing is all about. And that needs to be embedded in our culture, our way. So we need funding. I know that Link Up struggles, they're doing a fantastic job with the money that they have, but I know that they're, as well as Cranbrook Place, there's organisations on the ground who need more funding, more support for healing our mob, healing our people. I'd like to thank Brian for telling his story. And this is just one story. There's so many painful stories. And I'd like to introduce who I am. I'm Noeleen Lopes. My mob is Gungaloo. My grandfather is Gungaloo. He was taken and put onto Cherbourg, and his mum was Annie, full-blood woman, Annie Gungaloo woman. My grandmother was Kitty Carbine. She stayed some time at Pergam Mission, and then there was a Salvation Army home at Yeronga, and she was a domestic here for the police commissioner at the time. We don't know where her mob come from. She was fair-skinned like me, and I think every time us fair-skinned people look in the mirror, we are reminded every day of our history and the pain and suffering of our mob, our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our aunties, our uncles, and we can't let this continue on. We need to make some changes. We need to make the right changes for our people so that we can all move forward as a community, as Australians. I think that's all I would like to say, because I don't like to be up here speaking, really. Thank you.